Dynamics Profile System. This is Vic Ballara, CEO of World Class HR. So each company that utilizes the Winslow Profile System gets a portal that looks like this. This is a demo portal that I have set up for demonstration purposes. But this is a way that each company can monitor the use of Winslow within their company, the profiles that have been taken, and there are 3 different profiles, but for this discussion we'll focus on dynamics, and what the status is. So we're going to take a look at one individual who has completed the dynamics profile, Joseph Norden. And so if we look at Joseph and we look at his profile, we see that across 24 traits that he looks pretty good. There are 4 groups of traits: interpersonal, organizational, dedication, and self-control. And with this view, you can always look at a particular trait and click on its definition if you're not really certain. But if you look at Joseph, he actually looks pretty good. His group average in each of the 4 groups is 7 in interpersonal, 7 in organizational, and 8 in dedication, and 7 in self-control. So this is just comparing Joseph across 9 million people who have taken the assessment. So how does he compare across the general population? What really is critical is how he compares to a particular position. So again, each company has the ability to create a profile. We call it the position compatibility summary. And in this model, we have a number of these we have already developed. So let's pick executive and see how Joseph compares. Now you see a little bit different view of Joseph when compared to a particular position. So you have the opportunity to see this in the colored graphic standpoint as well as numerical. So anytime, and hopefully the colors show up, we see traits showing red, that would be a concern, and yellow, which would be a caution. So it's kind of hard to really get a handle on all of that. Bottom line, how does he compare? So if we go down a little bit, we see the interpretation of it from a numerical standpoint. So here you'll see the specific areas where he's falling short relative to the job of executive that we have developed. And this area in particular, the position summary data tells you really what's the bottom line. So he's actually not too bad. His net score is 25, and the way we define that net score is that scores between 16 and 35 usually indicate a noticeably above average performance. If the score was above 35, that would indicate outstanding suitability for the position that should result in exceptional performance. So he's not an exceptional match, but a good match. You'll see that his key characteristic score is 10, and when we look at that particular score, the higher the score, the higher probability of success in that particular position. The other thing I'd like to point out is this accuracy and objectivity score. We want to see these numbers as high as possible. What does that mean? Well, objectivity means that this person was answering the questions honestly and not overstating themselves. So a 23 is means that there could be 1 or 2 what we call STEM scores, so 10 to 20% difference. Accuracy, there isn't a problem. And if accuracy falls, if either objectivity or accuracy falls below a threshold that the system has set, the individual will be asked to retake the assessment because their answers were not accurate and truthful. You'll also see that the one concern here is in red, and that would be responsibility. So against the profile, his score was a -5. But what's really neat about this tool is that you can compare him within just a radio button click to other jobs. So we have in this system a division manager as well as a department manager. So a division manager is an individual who manages other managers. And again, we see one concern, responsibility, and two, conscientiousness and autonomy concerns. And the numbers for this particular job make Joseph look a lot better, a much better match. You'll see that his net score increased to 39, which makes him exceptionally suited for this position with a high probability of success. His key characteristic score is still 22. Well, actually 22. Originally it was 10. So overall, he would be a better fit for the position of division manager. Now, if we look at what the participant receives, you'll see, and I'm going to scroll all the way down to the development plan, there is quite a bit of information that the individual receives relative to the interpretation of their results, but also areas that they could develop further. So in this case, some of the very high scores, which might not be a good thing, and some of the low scores prompt the system to generate a developmental plan for the individual. Now, in this case, a number of his scores were really high, above average. If we were to look at him back to that executive position where his scores weren't as high, we'll be able to zero in on areas that he needs to focus on developmentally. So this is a great way to use this tool not only for selection and assessment, but also for development. So if we were having a conversation with Joseph about his ability to do the job of executive, here's part of the report that he gets. And so one of the areas that kept coming up as a major concern, or in this case, more than a caution, but an actual concern, is responsibility. So there's a definition. It talks about the application to his career and social responsibilities. And then there are some suggestions for developing in the area or the trait of responsibility. So the first step is to acknowledge that something is wrong. So if he has a coach or if there's a development team, leadership development team, this would be an opportunity to focus on the areas that he needs assistance. One of the other areas that came up as being less than associated with, just scrolling through his profile here, actually that was the biggest one requiring a developmental need. So this is a great opportunity to do leadership development and succession planning in addition to assessment and selection. Thank you again for taking the time out of your busy schedule. My name is Vic Bilaran. I look forward to following up with you in this regard.